Home Alone is best remembered for its holiday setting, familial drama, and hilarious violations of the Geneva Conventions. Yet none of those are what the film is really about. In actuality, the main theme that runs through all of Home Alone is the most basic of human emotions. Fear. Or more precisely, Home Alone is about reaching maturity through conquering fear, and we see this theme come up in every major story beat. First, we meet Kevin, a spunky 8-year-old whose precociousness sometimes falls just short of charming.
Kevin, out of the room.
Hang up the phone and make me, why don't you?
But who's also intimidated by the simplest tasks placed just outside his comfort zone.
Go pack your suitcase.
Pack my suitcase?
We meet his terrible siblings who constantly harass him.
What am I supposed to do? Shake his hand and say, congratulations, you're an idiot?
Don't you know how to knock phlegm wad?
You're what the French call les incompetents. What?
Then there are the adults in his life who appear to be either ordering him around or completely ignoring him.
Mom, Uncle Frank won't let me watch the movie, but the big kids can. Why can't I?
Kevin, I'm on the phone.
Though, to be fair to the parents, it can't be easy organizing an international holiday flight with 8 dozen of the world's most awful children and all of Uncle Frank's bullshit.
It's my brother's house. He'll take care of it.
We meet Old Man Marley, the neighborhood's local serial killer who murdered his entire family back in '58. Or so the legend goes. When this ghastly Gramps catches Kevin the boys creeping on him in his sweet salting technique, the kids duck away in fear lest risk getting shovel murdered. With all these unsavory characters crawling around his house like a bus terminal, Kevin begins to lash out.
This house is so full of people, it makes me sick. When I grow up and get married, I'm living alone. Did you hear me? I'm living alone!
At dinner, Kevin is once again mercilessly teased, but this time his older brother Buzz pushes Kevin one step too far, so Kevin retaliates by pushing Buzz one step further, into the kitchen counter. After Buzz's meaty frame spills some precariously placed beverages all over the plane tickets, everyone loses their patience with Kevin's reaction to their emotional abuse.
Look what you did, you little jerk.
He's sent to bed upstairs on the 3rd floor.
3rd floor? It's scary up there.
Indignant about being ganged up on, Kevin tells his mom he never wants to see his family again.
I wish they would all just disappear.
And with a bit of the old Christmas magic, a fallen tree branch sets up a series of events that results in Kevin getting his wish. He's left in his home as his family jets off to France. Now that Kevin has complete independence, he can live out the unbridled decadencies of adulthood, such as invading his family's privacy,
Buzz, I'm going through all your private stuff.
not picking up after himself, and voiding the warranty on his parents' mattress. He feels he is truly free. It's not until he pops a certain gangster movie into his VCR that things take a dark turn. This is where Kevin's fear arc truly starts. Here's a kid who thought living alone meant calling all the shots and doing whatever he wanted. But now a movie he had begged to see, is so scary he had to cover his eyes. Watching actors on a screen of a poorly acted melodrama is so horrifying to Kevin, he actually calls out for his oppressor to save him. Kevin can't truly be free because there's something else looming over him that's much more oppressive than any parent could ever be. Kevin wants to live alone, but given the chance, he lacks the maturity or bravery to do so. But does Kevin realize that this is what stands in his way of a life of independence? Soon, the wet bandits Harry and Marv attempt to break into the McAllister house for the first time, and Kevin is put in a position where he is forced to rely on his own instincts for self-preservation. He flips on the lights to scare them off, which works, and then hides under the bed, too frightened to face who might be lurking outside. While cowering on the floor, Kevin makes his first choice about fear.
Only a wimp would be hiding under a bed. And I can't be a wimp. I'm the man of the house.
So he walks outside and shouts that he's not afraid anymore, declaring to the world that he's willed his character arc to completion before Act 2 has even begun. But once he sees Scary Oldman salting the walkway, the man of the house regresses back to a frightened child and runs off screaming. Kevin now realizes he has a fear problem. He knows he wants to get over it, but at this point in the story, he's not ready to challenge himself to be brave. Kevin is going to need some outside motivation to build up his courage. But to do that, he'd hypothetically need to see some specific negative effects of his fear, and I just don't know if this movie has that kind of... While inquiring about the make and model of a toothbrush at the store, Kevin meets up with the dreaded South Bend Shovel Slayer, or Old Man Marley to his friends. Once again, the Ancient One's wizened visage frightens Kevin into an about-face. But unlike the last time he ran away from this guy, Kevin's misplaced fear generates more trouble for himself and others around him. As he runs out the door with unpaid toothbrush in hand, Jimmy, the most heroic stock boy in Chicago, bounds after him. The unwitting shoplifter is then pursued by generic cop number 1, who scares him even more as the chase continues through the bustling town. Once Kevin has safely thwarted the long arm of the law, he reflects on the stolen merchandise and the new life of crime he's chosen.
I'm a criminal.
Kevin's fear isn't just holding him back anymore, now it's actively harming innocent bystanders. At this point, Kevin runs into Harold and Maude and overhears them talking about their plans to drop by his house that very evening. Kevin knows that fear has already made him break the law, but if he doesn't stand up for himself now, he'll be leaving his house vulnerable to these burglars' nocturnal scavenger hunt. With the situation becoming more serious, Kevin has to try to face his fears. So he throws a party. After he cleverly throws H&M off his trail with a mannequin party switcheroo, it appears Kevin has finally learned to master his fears. He's going shopping on his own and stands up to a strangely antagonistic cashier.
Where do you live? I can't tell you that. Why not? Because you're a stranger.
He shows his scary furnace who's boss.
Shut up.
Kevin even uses the movie that scared him as a tool to traumatize the poor working-class delivery boy because he's a little piece of shit. But yet in all of this, Kevin starts to want his family back. This time it's not because he's afraid to be without them, but because he actually misses them.
They're very likable characters.
The ever-tenacious wet bandits keep showing up, and this time Kevin scares them away with the old gangster movie routine. It looks like from here Kevin can live alone just fine by sticking to his old tricks. He can see that there's a lot of things in this world that seem scary, but are actually no threat at all. That is until this movie's midpoint flips the script on old Kev. Harry and Marv finally realize that Kevin is just some kid and that
He's home alone.
Now with the premise of the movie on their side, they make plans to invade the McAllister residence at 9 o'clock.
This way it's dark then.
Kids are scared of the dark.
You're afraid of the dark too, Marv. You know you.
And just like that, Kevin is afraid again. But this time, the threat is real, and the fear is justified. Just like when he first watched the gangster movie, Kevin again wants his mom to come protect him. There's real danger ahead, and Kevin can't sass his way out of this one. Kevin takes a long, pensive walk, spying on Christmas parties in people's windows, each one as warm and as lively as the fake one he had with Michael Jordan, except these party guests are bringing a dessert, and are real. Kevin really did get his wish to be alone, and now on the most family night of the year, he has no family to share it with. Kevin wanders into the church, which Harry and Marv incidentally can't enter because they're vampires.
Maybe we're in the church.
I'm not going in there.
Me neither.
Here, Kevin is confronted yet again by the gaunt specter of Marley. He's still frightened, but being in a place of sanctuary, he gives the old man the benefit of the doubt. It turns out the septuagenarian has the pleasant demeanor of a man who didn't murder his family with a shovel.
You can say hello when you see me. You don't have to be afraid.
Kevin reflects on how he's not been particularly amicable this year. He regrets this because deep down he really likes his family, even if sometimes they treat him like he's a cancerous tumor.
I wouldn't let you sleep in my room if you were growing on my ass.
Next, it's Marley's turn. He explains how he had a falling out with his son many years ago. Marley told his son he'd never wanted to see him again, and now he's afraid that if he tries to mend things with him, his son will refuse to talk. Kevin thinks Marley is too old to be afraid, and this is where Old Blue Eyes replies with the most important line of the film.
You can be a little old for a lot of things. You're never too old to be afraid.
This is the point of Home Alone's narrative. Fear is not something you just outgrow with age. Courage doesn't eventually come to you if you wait long enough. Courage requires active risk. For Kevin and Marley to reach their full potential, they're each gonna have to take a leap of faith. After giving each other a pep talk, the two become friends, and much like the gangster movie days earlier, Kevin finds a new ally and a source of fear. Shortly before the wet bandits attempt to break into the house for the final time, Kevin races to head them off at the pass. Instead of running from fear by staying in the safety of church, Kevin literally runs toward the danger. If he truly is the man of the house, then he knows he has to be there, no matter how scary it is.
This is my house. I have to defend it.
After he sets up all the traps, the time for action comes when the burglars arrive. The ultimate showdown, where Kevin's fear is put to the test.
This is it. Don't get scared now.
The wet bandits attempt to get invited into Kevin's house due to their strict vampire rules, but in lieu of their request, Kevin shoots Harry and Marv in the crotch and face, respectively. Thus begins the iconic sequence of comedic slapstick bits that, while not necessarily furthering the plot, are the best part of the movie. Here, Kevin faces danger head-on, always staying a few mere steps ahead of his pursuers. Kevin even mocks his own fears to bait the villains into his signature death traps.
Oh no, I'm really scared.
Kevin gets the upper hand on fear yet again when he makes Marv scream in abject horror. Then Marv's inability to control his fear ends up causing Harry some discomfort. When Kevin jumps out the window, he takes a moment to psych himself up. He's still a bit scared, but now he's not hiding from his fear. He's embracing it. He's even proven himself to be braver than the adults around him.
Yeah.
Not going out the window?
Why, you scared, Marv? Are you afraid? Come on.
It looks like with his quick thinking and arsenal of weapons, Kevin is going to escape the grasp of these deathless ghouls unscathed. Finally, the wet bandits catch up with Kevin and hook him onto a door. Harry is poised to bite Kevin's finger off, and the kid is powerless to stop him. Kevin is stripped of his creative resources and is out of tricks. There's no way out for him this time. This is where Kevin's fear arc finally comes to an end. At the start of the film, Kevin was too afraid to see fake criminals hurt each other on TV, so he covered his eyes, calling out for his mom. Now a pair of actual criminals intend to do him specific bodily harm, but he's not doing the screaming thing or trying to run away. He's looking real danger dead in the eyes, facing it head on. Sure, he's scared, but his eyes are wide open. Kevin is now truly free, because even though he's outmatched physically, he's the master of his own mind. Luckily, Marley beats the burglars unconscious before Marv's lethal vampire bite could drain Kevin of his blood. At the end of the movie, when his mom comes home, Kevin doesn't see her as his adversary or his savior, but as his mom. Kevin is finally mature enough to live alone, but he's also mature enough to see the importance of family. And while this is the great takeaway of the film, it was the conquering of fear that was its driving force. It matured Kevin McAllister from a spoiled child at the beginning into the wise young man we see before us now. It reunited Marley with his son and granddaughter. And if mom wasn't terrified while racing back to get to her 8-year-old son she forgot at home for a week, we'd probably hate her as much as all the other schmucks in her family.
It's pretty cool that you didn't burn the place down.
Thanks, Buzz.
When you look back at Home Alone, don't just remember the physical trauma, but the emotional trauma as well. And also baby Hope Davis. Because maturity isn't just being able to do whatever you want, it's about having courage. Courage to fight your own battles. Courage to admit when you're wrong. Courage to look fear in the eye and tell it,
I don't think so.
Now, some parts of this movie are obvious, like the fact Harry and Marv only rob houses at night because they're vampires. But if the love of a family is what people remember most about the film, well, aside from all this, then can we really say this movie is about fear? I mean, honestly, that's not rhetorical. If the script of a film lays out a series of story beats that all point to one theme, but no one remembers that theme, is the movie really about what it's about? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to see what people have to say about this. And if you just watched this video and said, I wish Storyograph did more videos about home invasion movies that remind me of my childhood, then you're in luck, because next time we'll be taking a look at the incredibly R-rated funny games from the perspective of a classic Sesame Street story. And if you're the kind of person who likes the very specific combination of Christmas and Canadian-American actress Catherine O'Hara, then you'll probably want to check out the video on why her character is the secret protagonist of The Nightmare Before Christmas. Whether you celebrate December Wing, Life Day, Crimbus, Hearth Swarming Eve, Festivus, Merlin Peen, Yak Shaving Day, or Candle Nights, happy holidays from Storyograph.